On the News Express, President Tinubu okay's Infrastructure Development Fund, FGI's $25 billion annually. CBN directs BDCs to sell dollar at 1,269 naira. EU launches €9 million energy project in Nigeria. On the foreign scene, US bridge collapses after ship collision. And in sports, Chelsea preparing €77 million bid for Victor Osimhen. Former Chinese football chief bags life sentence for bribery. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express and Global Television. We're live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Queen Agaba. President Bola Tinubu has approved the renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund to bridge the country's $25 billion per annum infrastructure funding gap. The new initiative will be domiciled in the presidency. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, told journalists after Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Idris said the fund became necessary given Nigeria's current infrastructure gap, requiring $878 billion to bridge between 2016 and 2040. There's a study that was made that said Nigeria will require about $878 billion between 2016 and 2040 to bridge its infrastructural deficit. The federal government has hailed foreign service officers for launching the Academy of International Affairs. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated that the Academy has the potential to make improvement in the management of Nigeria's foreign policy. Shettima, who spoke at the inauguration of the Academy in Abuja, added that it emerged at a period when it was needed most. Shettima told the foreign service officers that Nigeria needed their input in addressing some of the challenges it is facing. The federal government has concluded plans to train some newly recruited personnel of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory as the School Safety Protection Squad to halt cases of abduction of school children from their schools. The commander of the National Safe Schools Response Coordination Center of the NSCDC, Ahmed Abodunri, disclosed this just as the Defense Headquarters said troops rescued 137 abducted pupils of the LEA Primary School and the Government Secondary School Kuriga in the Chikun local government area of Kaduna State within Zamfara State. This came as President Bola Tinubu welcomed the news of the release of the Kuriga school children as well as the release of pupils of Sangaya School in Sokoto State, commending all the parties involved in the feat for their valiant efforts. The federal government has said that no ransom was paid to free the pupils who were abducted from Kuriga village in Kaduna State. This was revealed by Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris during the Federal Executive Council meeting presided by President Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The minister applauded President Tinubu, the National Security Advisor, NSA, the service chiefs, and everyone else who made a significant contribution to the kids' release. The minister added that President Tinubu has directed security services to step up their efforts to put an end to the nationwide kidnapping crisis. The Leprosy Mission Nigeria, TLMN, in effort to provide sustainable psychological support and referral service to communities experiencing distress, have commissioned a toll-free call center to address the crucial need for accessible mental health services. Fozia Lukman reports.
In an event that sees the network of support from all stakeholders in the disability community, the Leprosy Mission Nigeria commissions a call center to assess critical needs to mental services for persons with disabilities in psychological distress. While commissioning the center, the Senior Special Advisor to the President on Special Needs and Equal Opportunities, Honorable Mohammed Abba Isa, says the center represents a beacon of hope to individuals often marginalized and overlooked.
The establishment of this call center represents a beacon of hope for those often find themselves marginalized and overlooked. It is a testament to our commitment to ensuring that every citizen regardless of their background or circumstance, have access to the support and resources they need to treat. But today we say no more. Today we take a stand against stigma and discrimination. We affirm our belief in the inherent dignity and worth of every human being. And we declare our unwavering commitment to building a society where everyone has the opportunity to live a life of dignity and fulfillment.
The Leprosy Mission Nigeria TLMN National Director, Dr. Sunday Udo, speaks on the crucial aspect of overall well-being as other stakeholders appreciate the inclusivity.
As we all know, mental health is a crucial aspect of overall well-being. It is a facet of healthcare that unjustly receives less attention than it deserves in this country. In fact, globally, but worse in Nigeria, particularly when it comes to those with disabilities. Combating the stigma and discrimination associated with mental health has been an ongoing battle, and today we stand strong to fight that fight.
In the NTDs, we know the importance of mental health, and that is the more reason why we are developing or reviewing our NTD master plan. Mental health was captured and incorporated. I want to assure you that the NTDs program will collaborate effectively with you and support you all the way. Thank you and God bless you.
Today is a great day to be a person with disabilities because the journey of 1,000 miles has just commenced. What do I mean and why are we here? For the first time in the history of the disability community, we have a hotline, that's what I choose to call it, a hotline where we can call in and have our well-being, our mental issues, because you see, one of the major issues of disabilities that is not addressed in this country is the post-traumatic stress disorder of disabilities, especially for those of us who acquired disabilities, who were not born with a disability. Now we have a number, 0800 005060 that you can call and then have some level of a high level of interaction that can tell you what the challenge you're facing is, how you can navigate through the challenge, and what the future can hold for you with that challenge.
Psychological distress knows no boundaries as it affects anyone regardless of age, gender, or socio-economic status. Fauzia Lukman, Global TV News.
Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno has approved the appointment of 168 assistants and 104 board members for the 15 agencies and commissions of the state. This is contained in a statement issued by the Secretary to the Borno State Government, SSG Alhaji Bukar Tijani in Maiduguri. He said the appointees comprised of 9 senior technical assistants, 81 senior special assistants, and 78 special assistants. The SSG also listed 104 others as chairmen, and board members of 15 agencies and commissions. The appointment, the SSG said, was done based on powers conferred on the governor by the provisions of Section 208, subsection 2D of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. You're watching News Express, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times, channel 276. Kindly follow us on our social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. When News Express returns, CBN directs BDCs to sell dollar at 1,269 naira. This and other stories coming right after this break. Please stay with us. On the foreign scene, supporters of the opposition candidate Bassirou Diomaye Faye have rallied in the streets to rejoice over their candidate's early victories in Senegal's presidential election. Faye's victory is coming just a week after his release from prison, but his main rival from the ruling coalition insisted that a second round would be necessary to ascertain the winner. The winner will have to steer Senegal, viewed as a beacon of democracy in coup-hit West Africa, out of 3 years of turbulence and a political crisis, and manage revenues from oil and gas reserves that are shortly to start production. Uncertainty remains over the outcome of the unprecedented vote, with official results not expected before the end of the week. An absolute majority is required for a first-round win. For weeks, President Joe Biden and his senior officials have been losing patience with the way that Israel is fighting the war in Gaza. They've used increasingly stiff language to convey their displeasure to Israel and the wider world. The decision to allow the latest ceasefire resolution through the Security Council shows that President Biden has decided that strong words are not enough. Removing diplomatic protection from Israel's conduct of the war is a significant step. It shows the depth of the rift that has opened between the White House and Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The UN Security Council has called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza after the U.S. did not veto the measure in a shift from its previous position. It also demanded the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. It is the first time the Council has called for a ceasefire since the war began in October, after several failed attempts. The move by the U.S. signals growing divergence between it and its ally, Israel, over Israel's offensive in Gaza. Moving on, the Francis Scott Key Bridge in the U.S. city of Baltimore collapsed after a ship collided with it. The Maryland Transportation Authority made this known. I-695 Key Bridge collapsed due to ship strike. The MTA posted on social media platform X, referring to the interstate highway. It urged drivers to avoid the route over the Patapsco River, which is called an active scene. Earlier, the MTA had said interstate lanes in both directions were closed due to an incident on the bridge and the traffic was being redirected. A police spokesperson from the Baltimore Police Department said that people were possibly in the river. Florida State Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill that will prohibit children younger than 14 from joining social media in the state. According to the report, those who are 14 or 15 will need a parent's consent before they join a platform. The bill, HB 3, also directs social media companies to delete its existing accounts of those who are under 14. Companies that fail to do so could be sued on behalf of the child who creates an account on the platform. The minor could be awarded up to $10,000 in damages, according to the bill. Moving on, the French Interior Minister has launched multiple anti-drug crackdowns, reflecting the government's commitment to show it's serious about tackling the drug trade and crime in cities ahead of European elections. The French Interior Minister announced multiple nationwide anti-drug crackdowns, reflecting the government's commitment to show it's serious about tackling the drug trade and crime in cities ahead of European elections. Interior Minister Gerald Damanin said the police units conducted raids and made several arrests in the northern city of Lille. He said the authorities are going to multiply the operations that they have prepared for months to hit very hard. On the business desk, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment has directed applicants of the Presidential Conditional Grant Scheme to submit their national identification numbers as part of the necessary requirements to obtain a grant earmarked to cushion the effect that recent economic reforms have had on businesses in the country. The government, through the Bank of Industry, had said it would be disbursing 3 categories of funding totaling 200 billion naira to support manufacturers and businesses across the country. It said the new rule was based on the new regulations from the Central Bank of Nigeria, directing Nigerians to link their national identification numbers with their bank accounts. It added that only verified applicants will receive these notifications, and NINs must match the applicant's name for the process to proceed. The European Union, in continuation of its commitment to supporting the federal government in providing clean, affordable, and sustainable energy for all, has introduced 2 new projects worth 9 million euros in Nigeria's energy sector. The EU disclosed this in Abuja during the project Inception workshop organized in partnership with the federal government and United Nations Industrial Development Organization. With a population of over 200 million, had an electricity consumption per capita of 147 kilowatt hours in 2022, while South Africa, with a population of over 60 million, boasted of electricity consumption per capita of 3,565 kilowatt hours during the same period, according to the World Bank. According to the Central Bank of Nigeria, the country's average per capita data stood at 3,689.700 megawatts in September 2023, as it continues to struggle with low power generation and poor distribution infrastructure. In another development, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has raised the monetary policy rate MPR, its benchmark interest rate, to 24.75%, representing 200 basis points increase from 22.75% in February. The CBN, however, retained the cash reserve ratio (CRR) of commercial banks to 45%, but adjusted upward the CRR of matured banks from 10% to 14%. The CBN also retained the liquidity ratio of banks at 30%. The Central Bank of Nigeria has disclosed that it will be allocating $10,000 to Bureau the change operators at 1,251 naira per dollar. This was contained in a circular made available and signed by the bank's Director Trade and Exchange Department, Hassan Mahmoud. The Apex Bank directed each BDC to sell the dollars to eligible customers at a rate not exceeding 1.5% above the purchase price, implying the BDCs are not expected to sell above 1,269 naira per dollar. On July 27, 2021, the CBN discontinued the sale of foreign exchange to BDCs, accusing them of trading FX wholesale amounts greater than $5,000 in contravention of their licenses and Nigeria's FX regulations. Meanwhile, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria revealed that it is proposing a memorandum of understanding with the United Kingdom's Financial Reporting Council that will allow its members to obtain audit qualifications right in the UK. In a statement, ICANN said that the move was premised on the fact that accounting and audit practices have become global. If the proposed MOU between ICANN and FRC is signed, ICANN members can exchange in an audit in the UK. The idea was mooted during a visit to the UK Financial Reporting Council, led by ICANN President Innocent Okwuosa, as part of activities for the 11th ICANN UK International Conference. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Commandant General's Special Intelligence Squad has uncovered a massive illegal oil refining site at a forest in Odagwa community in Eche local government area of Rivers State. The site comprises over 10 illegal refineries with an estimated 500,000 liters of crude oil contained in about 50 illegally constructed reservoirs. While 5 suspects engaging in the illicit act were arrested, the spokesman for the NSCDC Rivers State Command, Olufemi Ayodele, disclosed this while parading the suspects and conducted newsmen around the site. Now, the Federal Executive Council has approved the institutionalization of a 10% youth quota in all government appointments and an equitable young women representation. Jamila Ibrahim, Minister of Youth, disclosed this at the end of the 4th FEC meeting in Abuja. She said that the council also approved the restructure of the Nigerian Youth Investment Fund and the revamping of the Youth Investment Fund. Kikelomo Okeri has details.
The Minister of Youth says the quota will encourage young people to participate in decision-making process and in civic engagement.
We have received Council's approval to institutionalize a 30% youth quota, a 30% representation of young people in all government appointments, and an equitable young women representation inclusive of this 30%. Well, this will go a long way to address the long marginalization and exclusion of young people in decision making, and will also go a long way to encourage young people to participate in decision-making processes and in civic engagements. This will in turn lead to young people contributing tremendously to national development.
Meanwhile, FEC has approved the setting up of Infrastructure Fund to be known as Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund. This followed a projection that Nigeria will require over $878 billion to bridge infrastructure deficit in the country.
Wisdom of Mr. President and magnanimity, so to say, of the Council that they've approved the establishment of Renew Hope Infrastructure Fund as the catalyst to actually drive our infrastructure agenda. So this innovative fund consolidates existing resources to drive economic growth and connectivity across sectors like transport, agriculture, aviation, and education, and other social.
The Federal Executive Council also approved the construction of 28 roads and bridges across the country worth over 1.2 trillion naira. The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, says the projects were approved by FEC, having gone through the Bureau of Public Procurement and Certificate of No Objection secured. Kikelomo Okeri, Global Television News.
And as we end the Global News Express, let's take a look at some of our top stories. President Tinubu okay's Infrastructure Development Fund, FGI's $25 billion annually. CBN has directed BDCs to sell dollar at 1,269 naira. EU launches €9 million energy project in Nigeria. On the foreign scene, US bridge collapses after ship collision. And in sports, Chelsea preparing €77 million bid for Victor Osimhen. That's it on the News Express, and it came to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. We're in Star Times, channel 276. Kindly follow us on all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching. See you again.